Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
It sure is, and I'm Ralph behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food.
Well, thank you.
And you know what? We thought we were getting into spring with some nice warm weather, and now it's cooling down again. And so, you know what? It's a good day to make some nice hot soup.
This is the longest, coldest spring in a while.
Ugh, come on, enough already with the cold. Anyways, we're in Michigan, and it's not real warm, but we're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, we sure will.
So today, Ralph, we are making split pea soup with ham.
And it looks like it says wham, but that's W/ham.
Okay, with ham.
With ham, okay.
And so, of course, you can't make split pea soup without some split peas. And I've got a pound of them right here. And that's normally how they're sold by the pound in a bag.
And very affordable in these
Oh my gosh,
times.
yes, they are. They're very inexpensive. But I have them in a colander because first thing I want to do is go through them, because every once in a while, and it's true also sometimes with dried beans, is you'll get a little stone, a little pebble from the field that'll somehow get put in with them. And you want to make sure, because you certainly don't want a stone in your soup, to get that out.
Right. So you want to kind of filter through by hand, and also I think you could also put it under water and rinse them.
Yeah, although that won't get rid of any of the that will not get rid of a stone.
The stones you have to do by hand.
Right. So
stones.
we're stone free. I'm going to give this a quick little rinse under cold water here.
I made this soup recently. I was telling Kevin about how I hadn't made it before, and it seemed pretty easy and fun, and something that our friends out there watching could do in these times of being holed up and hunkered down. So
Yeah.
he said, yeah, let's make it, especially like you said, now that it's kind of cold out.
Well, here's the other thing, folks. What you really need for this, you could make it without, but is a ham bone.
Right.
And we had ham at Easter.
Right. So
A bone-in ham at Easter, delicious. And I saved the bone after I carved the meat off. I put the bone in a zip bag, put it in the freezer, and it's been there ever since, with the idea that we were going to make some soup with it.
Right.
Either bean soup, or in this case,
Yeah.
split pea soup.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've rinsed them. We've checked them for stones. We're going to put all the split peas in a pot here, Ralph. Now, there's two approaches to this. One is, these are of course hard because they're dried, and you could soak them overnight in water. But of course, we didn't think about this last night. We thought about it today. So we don't have time to do that. So what I'm doing is, I've got a pound of split peas. I covered it with 2 quarts of cold water. That's a half gallon. There's 2 quarts, right, Ralph?
I think so.
Yes, it is.
Not so
Take
good
my
at-
word for it.
But I trust you on that one.
All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Once this comes to a boil, I'm going to turn the heat off. We're going to keep the lid on, and we're going to let it just sit for an hour. That'll help those dried beans sort of rehydrate and soften. So that it won't take, hours and hours for them to cook. Ralph, okay, there they are. Look at that green foam. Okay, that's a boiling.
So you got it to a boil, and then you're going to simmer it?
We're going to, nope, look.
Just take it
Lid
off.
on, done.
For now.
1 hour.
Oh, right.
Okay.
1 hour of sitting in.
What it's going to sit, and that's going to soften up, kind of do a quick soften of those
peas.
split peas. But in the meantime, what we'll do, just to get ready, is we can chop some of our vegetables. Okay, so I've got a couple of carrots we can start on, and we'll chop that up. Now, when you're chopping your vegetables, and for those of you who maybe, people say, Oh, I've never really chopped
Yeah,
vegetables
it could be
before.
new to you.
Let's start with the carrots. So we want a couple of diced carrots, about a cup plus. We love carrots. So what I'm doing is, one, you want a sharp knife. Let's start with that. And then you'll see that I'm cutting the carrot sort of like this, lengthwise, because what I want to create is a flat surface.
Oh.
So you can put that carrot,
make it easy
see,
to
it's
cut.
hard when it's round.
Because it's rolling.
Right. So we want a flat surface, or we can leave it flat on the cutting board, and then it will be stable. Now once I've got, so now we have a flat side on the cutting board. We're going to make it at a dice. So we're going to cut this in half, and then we choppa, choppa, choppa.
Notice how Kevin keeps his fingers well behind the blade. That's obviously very important to be safe.
Well, you know what? Believe me, I've had to run to the first aid kit many times in my life. And with carrots, you know, carrots are a relatively hard vegetable, so the smaller you cut them, the quicker they will cook and get soft. The larger you cut them, the longer it'll take. So we're not gonna put these in the soup for a while. I just want to get them ready. But I'm cutting them relatively small because, one, for soup they shouldn't be. If we were making beef stew or pot roast, we'd cut them larger. Now when the carrot is thin like this, kind of this upper piece of the carrot,
Doesn't have to be
cut in half. That's small enough, and we'll just.
So this is called. Would this just be considered chopping or dicing? Or
This is a dice chop. You know, potato, patata. Okay, here we go. And we will put our carrots in there now. Cutting celery. So peeled the celery off, I rinsed it, I cut the very big ends off here because they were dirty and they're white.
They're full of roots.
Yeah, and then I cut the tips off because those are often the part that turn brown first.
And it can be kind of hard and chewy.
Yeah, so now the celery is relatively wide. Of course, it's wider at the bottom. We're going to take our knife and cut it right down the middle like so. If you had a really wide piece of celery, you might cut it, make multiple strips, like here.
So you're doing the same thing you did with the carrot, just finding a way to make it flat, or no?
Well, it is kind of flat already, but like here's a wider part of the celery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it like that to narrow it down.
Celery has built-in anti-roll technology.
It does.
Like those crayons that you used to get when you were little that didn't roll.
Yeah, I love those.
What are they called? Can't roll?
Can't roll. At least those are what we had in school.
Were they made by Crayola?
They weren't. They were made by, I think they were made by Prang, which is
another crayon company.
Yeah, crayon art supply.
Something you could focus on your other show, Analog. Analog.
Maybe I will if I can find can't roll crayons. I would think they'd still make them. Okay, so the celery is a little easier to cut than the carrots, and so what I'll do is I'll take, we'll get a bunch of these sort of sticks.
Handful.
Yep, and then we'll just cut them right like so. Okay, love celery. If you have one of these bench scrapers, they're called, but they're good for so many things. They're really good for collecting. You could use your knife too. You just got to be careful because you got a sharp edge. So look, now we have our celery, we have our carrot, and then we go to our friend, the onion. So now I think we'll need one onion here. Cut the ends off. You have with an onion, you have what we call a stem end, and then you have the root end. Okay? So you're going to cut the ends off, and then we're going to cut it in half like so. Now you can peel off that outer layer of the skin. Sometimes Depends. It's easy to get off, and sometimes it's not. You fight with it a little bit. You're going to take that thin onion skin off, and then our root end here, and we'll put that in the scraps. Now, put our onion here. So, what I like to do now is for a dice here, Ralph, is we take the onion, and I'm going to slice it like so. I'm going to put, see what I'm doing with my knife?
Yeah, sure.
I'm kind of just taking the knife through it.
Wow.
And then I'm going, and that was sort of with the ribs. See the ribs of the onion, how it's going?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm cutting like that. Then I come across.
And then you have little chopped
And you'd have little
slices.
You almost can't make any soup without an onion. That is, boy, that's like 101.
That's the essential basic ingredient.
Yeah. And then, you know, I do like in soup, I like the onion fine. So I'll come back through with your knife. And again,
Give it another chop.
if your knife is sharp, you let it do all the work. And you just come back with a pass. Just press that knife down over and over again. And these little dices will get smaller and smaller with each press
Finer and
of the
finer.
knife.
And that
Look
way
at that.
They'll dissolve much quicker and
Yes.
really flavor the soup up
They'll
nice.
See, and so,
That's what I did when I made my. I didn't have a ham bone. I had a ham hock that was not smoked, so
okay, that's
it
nice.
was small, but it flavored it up. And I also used a little chicken stock. But the onion dissolved because, you know, onion and celery are more. They're not hard like a carrot. They're more. What's the word? Like, you know, cellular or.
Yeah.
So
Softer cell.
Fiber, softer cells.
yeah.
So yeah, so they break down a lot quicker, which I didn't mind. So I put them in maybe sooner than I should have. But anyway, they pretty much dissolved it, but they flavored the split pea soup so nicely. Yeah, see what you're doing with your
See,
fingers.
keep your fingers there.
Kind of a little pinch.
You've got to hold the onion, of course, in place, but you don't put those fingertips. Don't give that knife a chance to hit those fingertips.
Yeah.
And then we're just gonna.
The knife can be your friend if you know how to use it.
Yeah, and believe me, I have cut myself a lot of blood has been shed on these cutting boards
All right.
over the years.
This is a cooking show. Let's not get too gross.
Well, I'm just saying. But this is how, sometimes we have to learn, right? The hard way. We learn the stove is hot by
Yes,
touching
don't
it.
touch it anymore.
So, anyways. All right. So now we've got our onion nicely, finely cut.
And that's just a
diced.
regular, what they call yellow or
Yellow
Spanish
cooking onion.
or cooking onion.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And for soup, you don't need like a sweet onion, like a nice Vidalia onion. That's great when you're eating it raw. You're putting it in a salad or on a burger or on a sandwich. For a soup, the onion's going to break down, and so that sharpness is really processed. So you can just use a nice cooking onion. So there's our vegetable: onion, carrot, celery. They'll be ready to go when it's time to throw them in. So Ralph, our split peas have been soaking in the hot water for an hour.
I can smell them. I mean,
Yeah.
it smells like a split pea soup already.
So,
What's that green foam going to do?
well, if you wanted to, you could skim this off. This is really from the
boiling process.
well, yeah. It's green. It's a byproduct of the split
Maybe
peas.
it's nutrition. Maybe it's nutritious.
It's just kind of starch
Oh, so there's
that comes off.
no need to keep it. In other words.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to hurt anything. I'm not going to be able to get it all, but we can get some of this off of there.
All right.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. We have our diced onion. We're going to put that in there. All of it.
At this point, should you check the peas, see if they're getting softer, or does it matter?
No, they're still on the hard. They're not as rock hard as they were,
you
but
can
they're
tell.
still very firm. Okay, so the onion goes in, and then the ham bone. That goes in. Okay?
Wow, there's
Now,
a lot of looks like
a lot of meat left on that baby, huh?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of, I don't know if I'll be able to submerge it all the way, but we're going to get it in as much as we can. And we're going to bring this back up to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll take it down to a simmer, and we're going to let it simmer for an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
And then we'll add the rest of our vegetables. If I put them in right now, they'd get too soft and mushy. Oh, something else we can do right now. It's right here. I left it out for a reason.
Pinch of salt?
I'm going to put just in a pinch. You know why? Because the ham has got plenty of salt in it. So I don't want to oversalt the soup.
The other thing too, if you're going to be cooking a soup for a long time, you want to tend to season it later as it's cooking, because you can kind of boil out all the seasonings, right?
That's right. So we're just going to put in a pinch of salt. I put in a few grinds of black pepper, and I got a teaspoon of dried parsley flakes. I'm going to put that in there too. Okay? I love parsley in soup. All right. So, now, again, bring to a boil, reduce to a simmer, cook about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll see how we're doing.
Wow.
Ooh.
That smells good.
Doesn't it? The whole place really has a wonderful smell. So this has been simmering away for like an hour and 15 plus minutes. We're going to take this bone out of here, and look at that, Ralph. Now I'm going to, wow,
Tell how thick it's getting.
got lots of big chunks of ham.
That fell off the bone.
Mm-hmm. So the split peas are really starting to kind of break down, and you know, if you give them a little bit of a smush along the side of the pan with the back of your spoon, that's going to thicken that stock up too.
Yes.
You can see the onions there are still a few remnants of it, but they've really cooked down. Now, we're going to put in our carrots, and we're going to put in our celery, and I'm going to stir those in. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. We're going to cook it over medium-low, just a slight, gentle simmer. I'm going to get a couple of forks and start getting the meat off of that ham bone, and then we can return it to the soup. Okay?
The meat or the ham bone?
The meat. We're done with the bone. It has done its job.
It flavored it
It's
up?
rendered its flavor, but this, oh my,
Hey,
are you kidding me?
I couldn't resist.
No. So, yeah. Boy, I left a lot of meat on this ham, didn't I? I see
Yeah.
somebody creeping in here.
No, that's okay.
Anyways,
All right, I'll have a little.
yeah, go ahead. Careful, it's hot. Isn't that good?
You know what's good is it's not overly spiced, but you're getting a little bit of that clove and that flavoring that you get
when I made the ham for Easter.
Easter ham, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to add another level or layer of flavor to the soup.
Yeah. Now, where I have big chunks of ham like here, I will dice that up
Right.
and cut it into smaller pieces, and then we're going to discard all the fat and
look at
things
that.
that we don't
A lot
want.
of meat.
That's a big hunk of meat, isn't it? So,
That's a meal in itself, this soup, you know?
you know that you may not have a ham bone this meaty. If you want to have more ham in the soup, you could buy what we call a ham steak. You know, a big piece of ham,
Just chop it up.
and you want it. Oh, you want it at least a quarter to half an inch thick, and you could just dice that up. I'm putting it on the cutting board because I'm going to chop this into smaller pieces. Like I said, I'm gonna go sort through this meat here, chop it up, return it to the pan, and we're gonna let this go maybe another half an hour. We just want those carrots and celery to cook through and get nice and soft and impart some of their flavor into the soup. Then it's eating time.
That's my favorite.
We have gone about a half an hour more.
Ooh, look at it. Bubbly.
35 minutes.
Look
at that.
Pretty done. Looks pretty done to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, the thing is, you want to make sure that the veg, the carrots and the celery are nice and soft, and they are.
Al dente.
And we're just going to give this a nice stir around. There's hardly any evidence of the split peas. I mean, they're there, but in terms of, their original shape, they've been transformed into this just beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a hammy soup, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Not going to be the only hams in this kitchen.
Not the only ham bone.
So, anyways, look at that. I was thinking, too, if you don't eat ham or you're a vegetarian, you could make this soup and just skip the ham bone. So do all the same things. Soak the beans or the split peas, put in the onion, just leave the ham out.
Yeah, just make it with the chicken broth.
That kind of defeats the vegetarian purpose, but you could...
you could use a vegetable broth.
You could use a vegetable broth, or just, you know what? If you really want the split pea flavor, just leave the ham part out and just do it with the onions, the celery, the carrots, and the split pea. But boy, what a great soup this is. And you know what? We have got some nice bread that we're going to be eating with this. And you know what? You got the whole meal. What else do you need, Ralph?
Nothing. It's a meal in a bowl.
So
it's a hearty meal there.
Let's bowl up some of this split pea. Just enough here so that our friends can... You get the... Let's see, Ralph. Get the celery. I'm going to taste it because it might need a little more salt or pepper. I put a little seasoning in earlier, but I wanted to wait because I knew that ham bone was going to render plenty of salt.
You can see how thick it is.
You know what?
Just about right?
Just about right. I'm going to give it another little zhuzh shake of black pepper and just a pinch of salt. And that is all it's going to need for the perfect split pea with ham. Huh?
Because you don't want to take away from the flavor of the soup
You
itself.
definitely don't. And then, he's got the nice, I chopped that ham. There was a lot of ham left on that bone. Chopped that up. So good, Ralph.
Can't wait to try it.
Spoon's got your name on it.
It's going to be too hot.
Well...
Wait, can you hold the camera?
Well, no, I can't. But just take a small, because I'm holding the bowl, take a small spoonful.
All right.
Here, hold. Okay, here we go, folks. You're going to see the whole McGill here.
You ready?
Yeah.
Very nice. Wow. Getting that celery. It's still crunchy almost.
Is it too crunchy?
No,
Do we need to cook it
longer?
longer?
It's soft, but enough that you can taste the flavor of the celery.
And it, you don't want the vegetables mushy. You want them to have a little firmness.
Yeah.
And by the way, you might not eat this whole pot of soup tonight. We might. You might not. And if you have leftovers, those vegetables are going to continue to soften as they soak in the soup. So, if the celery is a little al dente, that's fine. It'll be really soft tomorrow or whenever you eat this again, should you have the leftovers.
When I made this at home recently, It was almost brothy at the beginning, and by day 2 or 3, it was getting thicker, and it just, the flavor just kept growing, and it just was wonderful. It's one of those soups that, yeah, if you make enough of it and you want to keep it around for a few days, especially during the colder months, it's definitely a winner.
Now, I know why this is Sister Girl, Miss Mary Ann's, one of her favorite soups right here.
Why is that?
Because it's so good.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to say because it didn't have beans, but yet it has that kind of creamy, beany flavor.
Yeah, no, it really, anyways. We can't wait to dig in.
Yes.
And we are glad to have this hot pot of soup on this cool early May day here in Michigan.
So grateful
to warm
for
us up.
all of our friends out there that tune in.
Yes, thank you for being a part of this one. We hope you enjoyed making soup with us, and we are going to look forward to seeing you again real soon on Cavalcade of Food. In the meantime, stay well.
Stay positive.
Stay safe.
Test negative.
And thank you, Dick Kesner, for the wonderful music. See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.